All right. Good evening, everyone. Online, I'm audible to you. Yeah. Good evening, Vishnu. So, in the last session, we discussed about the information gathering, right? That too, passive information gathering. Now, we are entering into a module called, which is scanning networks. So, the module 3 we have is scanning network. So, what is the scanning networks? Anyone? So, what is the difference between the passive and active information gathering? Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. So in previous, if you see, whatever the information we gather, we use the data sources, publicly available information we gather. Now with the target, we are interacting with the target, we are interacting and we are enumerating like what are the active hosts in that network, and in that active host, what are the services it is running, like what port is open, what port is closed, what port is filtered, and again which service they are running and the service version we are going to identify. And if that service version contain any vulnerabilities, we are going to exploit that vulnerability. Getting my point? So previously, whatever we did, we didn't interact with the target, right? So we use some open source services, and through the data sources, we collected the information which exists in the public. Now we directly interact with the target and we enumerate the information. So that process we call as a network scanning or scanning network. So scanning network is nothing but here is the process of discovering the devices, or devices means discovering the host. Instead of devices, you can go with the host. All right. So host means devices only, maybe anything, mobile, PC, anything, right? And their open ports, the services, operating systems, and the vulnerabilities on a network. Got it? So in scanning, we are going to discover this active host, their ports, services, operating systems, versions, and even the vulnerabilities of third services on a network. So remember, in ethical hacking point of view, scanning is performed with permission only. Okay, why? Because you are interacting with the target. Means the target will get to know that you have performed the attack. Remember that point. So that's why you have to perform this scanning with the permission only. So especially in ethical hacking point of view, scanning is performed with the permissions to identify the weakness before the attackers exploit them. Okay, that is the point of performing the scanning. So it is a second phase of ethical hacking, as you know, right? So after reconnaissance, means after information gathering, we use this method or this stage to gather the vulnerability, right, by interacting with the target. So the scanning can be performed with the target, right? So as attacker, I'm interacting with the target. Just a second. right? So as attacker, or even as a pen tester also, we send the TCP IP props, means a request, and in response, we'll get the network information. Got my point? So that is where the scanning networks has been performed. So why network scanning is important means, so as ethical hacker, we use this technique to identify the live host, okay, and to detect what are the open ports they are running and what services they are running, like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, SSH, Telnet. You already performed on protocols and port numbers, right? So you know what that services do. So based on that, we try to identify if any port is open, we try to connect with that system through that port. If door is open, I can take an entry, right? So same here, if the service is open, there is a chance for attacker to connect through that service with the target device. So that is a point where they do enumerate of these services. Getting my point? All right. So they identify the live host, detect the open ports, they find the running services. So you see the object use. Object use. Fine. You ask me why. Right. The objective of network scanning is why we do scanning, why it is important, the network scanning. So as I said, to identify active or live hosts, right, on a network, to detect open ports, to find running services, right? So what services they're running, like HTTP, FTP, SSH, so on, to find these things, right? And once we're done with that, we go for even you can identify the operating systems also, so OS. So based on this information, you can discover the vulnerabilities, right? So this will help you to map the network structure also. So this is the objective of network scanning. Got it? Right. So this is what the purpose of performing the network scan. The end goal of network scanning is finding the vulnerability. So to find that vulnerability, we need to enumerate the services, ports, systems, architectures, everything. So that can be done through the network scanning. So to do this process, we have some phases, or you can say this as a types of scanning. So here we have three types of scanning. You need to follow this approach only. So this is one of the approach we have to perform the network scanning, and only the approach you have to perform the network scanning, even not here. In real time also, if you're going for any penetration testing, any sources, this is the approach you have to follow. Okay. So the first scanning type we have is network scanning. So we go for types of scanning. So the first we have is network scanning. So what is the purpose of network scanning? So to list the active hosts and IP addresses. Okay. So to list the active hosts and their IP addresses of your target network. Okay. So that is where the network scanning is. So before finding the open host, first you need to check whether the target is live or not, whether the target is reachable or not. So if the target is not reachable, you can't perform the scanning because you need to interact with the target. That is what active scanning purpose is. So without interacting with the target, will you able to gain the access? No. So first we need to check that whether the target is reachable. For example, you entered into the ER segment network. So what do you do? You know that there is some target, like let's take Sumant device is my target. So obviously I need to check what are the active hosts in the network. In that, again, I need to find his device. Again, in his device, again, what services it is running. So I need to go with this step by step. So without knowing whether the target is reachable or not, will you able to perform the port scan? No. So first you need to go with the network scanning. So where you can list the active host and the IP address. So here we are going to use a technique called post discover technique. I'll teach you each and every technique. You have to work out on every technique. There are many different techniques exist. Max, I'll try to cover every technique. You need to work out. Okay. So host discord techniques we use. So this host discord techniques will help you to identify the active host on a network. Okay. So once you find the active host, next we'll go for port scan. Okay. So next we'll go for port scanning. So this will help you to list the open ports, services, right? And it will provide the information about the OS also and the application in use. So all these things you can able to enumerate through the port scan. So you can say there are many techniques also, like you can map the firewalls, you can map for the uh, specific ports, operating systems, operating system architectures. All these things you can able to enumerate. So that is where the port scanning we do. So here we use the scanning techniques. There are many scanning. So we use some scanning techniques like TCP, UDP, stealth scan, Myomin scan, acknowledgement scan. Like that, there are different scan techniques exist on the port scan. So you need to learn every technique because if you want to map, if you want to craft a packet without being detectable or with be detectable, you need to learn the technique first. Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you. We have many techniques there. So I'll explain each and every technique in detail. So using this technique, we can go for listing out what open port services, OS, and applications that are using in the target device that you can map using the port scanning. So once you're done with the port scan, you got the port information and whether the port is open or closed, right? And what service it is running, what version it is running, what operating system is it running. So now you have this information. Using this information, you'll try to check whether the target is vulnerable or not. So further, we are going to perform vulnerability scanning here. So the tar will come into the vulnerability scanning. So in this, we'll try to shows this will shows the presence of, remember, the known vulnerabilities, not 0 days. You know what is 0 day, right? where there won't be any patch, or even the developer is not having any idea about that vulnerability. It means it is not known to anyone. Those vulnerabilities record as a 0 days. So obviously we can't find the 0 day vulnerabilities. We need to find the known vulnerabilities only based on the information what we have. Right. So of weakness. So to perform this vulnerability scan, we are going to use a source called NSC, which is Nmap scripting engine. So I'll explain that. What is the final topic in the scanning module? Right. So this is the approach. So these are the three types of scannings we have. First, we'll go with the network scanning. Right. So I'm going to give you a lab to you. Okay. So I'll tell you how to connect to the lab. Okay. Even online people also can connect to my server. So you will be inside my network. So I'll give the VPN file to you. I'll share that in the group tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So I'll share that file. Okay. So you need to use that file and you need to enter into my network. So after entering into your network or my network, you need to perform these things. First, you need to see what are the active hosts in that network. Then pick one of the hosts and see what services it is running. Pick one service and see what attacks that contains or what vulnerabilities it has. Perform the exploitation. So I'll show you one or two services. Remaining you have to perform. Okay. So this is the approach method. Got it? Is that clear? You can't perform. Let me know that. How would I know? No, can't get that. You need to change the attack method. Okay, this is open port scenario. What if the closed port? We only craft a malware and we make the victim to click on that malware. Here the approach is what services the target is running. If the service is open, I can take an entry. If a door lock unte, you can't do anything. So door open unte, you can take an entry, right? So if the door is open, you'll take an entry. What if the door is locked? So you'll try to break. Right, you'll try to dig a hole or you try to broke the window or door, something like that you do. So that is where you're creating your own method. So you have to the approach will be completely different at that time. So this approach is easy. They are open, you took the entry by manipulating or by convincing. But there you need to completely break that. So same here also we have open port scenario, closed port scenario. If open port is there, we'll try to connect with that and we'll get the connection. Closed port means we need to make him to open that service. Getting my point? So by sending the malware, when you click that malware, it will open a backdoor. So through that backdoor, we'll take the entry. So that we'll discuss in system hacking. I'll explain that. Okay. All right. So this is the approach of network scanning. Clear, everyone? All right. So before performing these things, so let me explain about some of the tools that we use to perform this scanning. So in that, there are many tools exist. We have advanced port scanner. We have angry IP scanner. Like that, there are many tools exist. Zenmap, all these things. But the tool I suggest you to learn about this network scanning is Nmap. Nmap is one of the powerful tool you have. You can expect the question if you're planning for ethical hacking practical exam, theoretical also, either theoretical or practical. You can expect 2 to 3 questions from the Nmap. So they'll give you the what is a command to run or to extract the version. So you need to write that command, right? So like that, it's a single line code only. So like that, they'll ask you the questions related to the Nmap. So you need to learn every scan technique here. Okay. So Nmap is one of the powerful tool we have for port scanning. So Nmap is nothing but a network mapper. So we call this as a network mapper. It is a port scanner. It's a port scanner tool. Right. So alternate of this we have is ZenMap, which is a GUI version of Nmap. Nmap అనేది completely it's a CLI, command line interface. When it comes to the graphical user interface, like its application, just you need to give the IP address, it will scan and it will give the output. But you're not going to learn about the techniques there. So that's why I won't suggest the ZenMap. So you need to learn the command. If you learn the command, you can craft your own command there to send the request to the target, to manipulate or to convince and to get the information. Right. So Nmap, ZenMap, Angry IP scanner. So all these things we have here. Right. So these are the sources we are going to use. So that I personally suggest go with the Nmap itself. And I'll teach you on the Nmap based one. So these are all easy tools. Just these are applications you can download from online. You can run on your device. It's a normal application only. And just you need to give the IP address and you can run it to give the output. But how you're getting the output or what if the firewall is blocking that request, how to bypass that firewall. You can't do all these things. So if you want to do all those activities, I suggest go with the Nmap. See, that's what I mentioned. These are all the graphical user interfaces. So they come up with the default, what do you say, the options. Like it will, if just I need to give the target IP address and it will perform the scan. It may be a TCP scan or it may be a UDP scan. So I can't craft manually. For example, instead of TCP scan, I want to go with the UDP scan. So I can't find these kind of options in this tool. So they come up with the default such as either the TCP UDP. What if I make a request, the firewall got blocked? So firewall is getting performing the activity. So it won't yeah. No, you'll get the output, but you don't have a technique where you can craft the firewall bypassing techniques there. There is a point of, for example, if you see the ZenMap, it's a Nmap tool based only. What am I getting right? So it's an open source. It's a GUI tool. So which is designed to make the network discovery and security auditing easy for beginners while offering the advanced features for the expert. So it runs on Linux, Windows, and macOS, allowing the user to visualize the network topologies, save the scan profiles, and the comparisons. So in ZenMap, the advantage is just you need to give the IP address of your target, run scan. It will perform some scan. You have instant scan, aggressive scan, normal scan, OS scan, like that. You have some techniques, not all techniques, some techniques as a default. You can configure those techniques and you can run the scan. So it will give the results like this. So just you need to give your target IP. Okay. So here you can choose the scan type. So this is how you get the output, open port, same, how Nmap. But when it comes to the Nmap, you need to write the command. Instead of giving the IP, you need to write the command Nmap. Which scan technique you want to perform? Is that a host discover scan? Is that a port scan? Is that a firewall bypassing scan? Or is that a time and performance based scan? What scan you want to? You can craft your own packet there. And you can learn each and every option there, that is scan technique you can explore, and accordingly you can craft your own packet. That is the beauty of Nmap. So where ZenMap also will provide the output, but here we are not crafting any command here. Just we are giving the IP, it will perform the scan and it will give the output. So what if firewall is blocking that? Again, I need to use the bypassing techniques. So again, I need to craft that. Right. So better Nmap if you learn each and every scan technique in Nmap. So this Nmap is just you are giving the target IP and you are working on it. So Nmap is not like that. Got my point? So you need to go each and every command in detail here. Right? So that's why I suggest you to go with the Nmap one. Right? So if you see, this is the Nmap tool. So just visit this website. If you want to learn Nmap now, you need to learn from the website itself. So you can just visit the nmap.org website. Okay, so just type nmap in online. It will redirect you to the nmap.org website. In this, can you see the doc option? So just click on the docs. In docs, here you have the brief option summary. Just click on this. Here you can see the commands here? IL, IR, exclusive profile, -SL, SN, PN, PS, PE, PO. Can you see the different techniques? So here you're going to learn each and every scan technique. I'll tell you why we have those many techniques. What is the advantage we have with the techniques? I'll explain everything in detail. But you need to go through this scan technique. So if you see, this is the host discord techniques. I said to list out your active host in the network. These techniques we are going to use. And once we're done with that, we are going to perform the port scanning techniques. So using these port scanning techniques, we are going to identify what are the active hosts in the network. Right. Sorry. What are the services or ports or operating systems they are running that I can explore through the scanning techniques. Again, port specification techniques, service and version detection techniques, script scan, vulnerability scan. You can go with this scan, OS detection techniques to find the OS information, and timing means you can go with it packet to packet. You can give a time gap, means you can divide a complete packet into tiny packets, and every packet you can make a time gap. So where that will help you to bypass your firewall. If I send a whole packet in a single base, your firewall can read that easily, right? What if I divide the packet, and packet to packet, if I give 10 minutes to 20 minutes gap, will it consider as a single packet? So that is how you craft the packets here. You can divide the packet, you can give the time gap between the packets, time templates you can use the time templates, you have performance templates. So you can use all these techniques, even firewall bypassing techniques also you have. You can spoof, so spoof your source port address also you can spoof, IP address also you can spoof. Means the target will think that the request is getting from some other source, not from your device, right? So like that you can craft. When you can do that means when you know each and every technique, when you explore each and every technique here, you can craft your own packet to send a request and get the output. So to convince your target and get the result, you need to explore all these scan techniques. So that is where I'm suggesting you to go with the Nmap. Got my point? So Zenmap is just it's a GUI tool. Just you need to give the IP. It will scan by using its own technique and it will give the output. So there is no scope for crafting the things, right? So better I suggest go with the CLI base here, right? And you have output save also and aggressive multiple techniques you can see here. సో దీని నుంచి వెళ్తే ఏమవుతుందంటే మీకు కొంచెం టెక్నిక్స్ కూడా నేర్చుకుంటారు. వాట్ టెక్నిక్స్ ఎగ్జిస్ట్ దట్ యుల్ గెట్ టు నో, రైట్? సో వేర్ Zenmap is a easy work. There you won't explore about the techniques. Just you look out for the result. But here, to get the result, you need to explore the techniques. Then only you can able to get the result. Got it? So we suggest the Nmap only. Even if you go for any international examination also, they use the Nmap only. Got it? So if you want to learn each and every technique, what is this IL? What is this IR? So here, can you see the next option? So what is the first technique we have? So when you click on next, it will start with the target specification. So how to specify a target? Okay. So what are the commands that exist? IL means what? IR means what? Exclude means what? N means what? Like that. Each and every command you need to explore. Got it? So same, when you go with the next, again you have host discover techniques. So what are the host discover techniques? We have mostly SN is a host discover technique. So why this we call as a host discover technique? Because it is not performing the port scan, it is only going for ping scan. So it mentioned as a, so default your Nmap will perform the port scan default. So I don't want port scan directly, I want target is live or not. So that is where we perform the host discover. So at the time I use this technique, SN, right? So like that, we have different PSP, APU, which is SYN ping scan, acknowledgement ping scan, UDP ping scan, no ping scan. So like that, you have different techniques. Getting my point? Right. So every technique you can explore. So once you're done with the host discover, we're moving on to the port scanning. So before going with the port scanning, you have some techniques. So total you have 6 port states. So what are the 6 port states we have here? What is the meaning of open port? So open port means, for example, I made a request to the target on port 21. If port 21 is open and listening your request means, then it will give the output as a open. And a listening loan means door is open. Okay. On port 21 means the target is running the port 21. Simple. When you get as a open. What if you get as a closed? So where no application is in listening. Right. So, but the port is accessible. So means host is live, but no service is running on that port. Means I'm target is live only, but I made a request to the port 21. So 21 was closed. Means it is not in the listening state. Means that service or that application is not running that specific service. So then you'll get the output as a closed. Got my point? All right. And then we have filtered. What is the meaning of filtered here? Remember, when Nmap cannot determine whether it is open because the packet filtering block the request, means firewall. So if firewall is blocking your request, or for example, you made a request to the port 21 FTP. Imagine in their firewall, if they block that port 22 from any of the other sources, then you'll get the output as a filter. Open filtered, it will show you. Sometimes filtered. Filtered means consider the target is using a firewall. That firewall is blocking that activity. Maybe the port is open, but the firewall is blocking the request. So at that time, Nmap cannot determine whether the port is open because the packet filtering prevents its request. Props means request from reaching the port. Right, and then the port reach level. It blocked at the gateway level only. So that's why I couldn't tell that the port is open or closed completely. So I'll give the result as a filter. Right. Then unfiltered we have. What is unfiltered here? The port is reachable, but Nmap cannot determine whether the port is closed or open. Means even Nmap is not having a clarity on that. That can be happen because of the firewalls or else maybe not getting any acknowledgement from the target side. So at the time it will give the result as a unfiltered. Sometimes this unfiltered will display you as a target is not using the firewall. So when you get all ports are unfiltered means consider the target is not using a firewall. So you can map that target is not using the firewall, but you're not getting the output because there is no acknowledgement packet or implemented. So in this scenario, we use a technique called acknowledgement scan. I'll explain you what is acknowledgement scan. So usually you've seen in the acknowledgement scans. So port is accessible, but more scans are needed for this. As simple. When you get as a unfiltered, port may be reachable, but it requires more other scan techniques to explore of accurate information. So for example, I use acknowledgement scan. It says as unfiltered. So now I got to know maybe the port is open. I need to go with some other technique. This technique is not giving the information. So Nmap is not able to determine the information. So now I'll go with some other techniques like Miami scan, TCP scan, some other UDP packet, or some other acknowledgement packet. Something I'll implement in that request and I'll get to know, right? And when you got the open filter, and you got the output as an open filter, same. Nmap cannot determine whether the port is open or filtered, right? Means the target is not responding to your packet. So meaning no response received. So mostly you see this output in the UDP scan when you perform the UDP scan or fin scan or null scan or XMA scan at the time. this will give the output as open filter. Means it cannot able to determine whether a port is open or filtered. So this occurs for the scan types which open ports give no response. So when there is no response, consider the port is open actually. And when there is when there is a response, consider the port is closed. So that is what the point of giving the output here, right? So that's why they mentioned as a open filter, right? Why you get like that open filter? Why it is not giving open or either filter means it is the packet whatever we send may not use or include this acknowledgement. So when there is no acknowledgement, you won't get the accurate information. That is a point where you get as an open filter. So means నాకు కూడా తెలియదు. Even I am not having any idea. Maybe it is open or it may be a filter. That is what Nmap says. So go with some other scan technique, it will say. Okay. And then you can go with the closed and filter port, same. Nmap cannot determine whether the port is closed or filtered. So if response was insufficient to know the exact state, this will give the output as a closed filter. Okay. So these are the 6 port states we have, right? And then if you click on next, you'll have the port scanning techniques like TCP scan, TCP connect scan, UDP scan, SATP scan, which is a combination of TCP and UDP, inverse TCP scans, null scan, fin scan, XMA scan, we call them as a inverse TCP scans. I'll tell you why we call that as inverse when we perform them, right? And same acknowledgement scan, Windows scan, Myomin scan, custom. So every scan technique they have explained in detail in this website itself. Okay, so you need to explore them. Got my point? Is that clear? Right. So just I'm telling you, I'm not explaining that in detail. When we start practical part, I'll explain each and every command, why we are using, what is the use of this. So as a reference, you can use this website. That is the point of showing this website to you. So if you want to learn any scan technique now, you can explore this website or you can use ChatGPT, either the way. You can just give that command and ask or explain, it will explain you what that command is, right? And in backend, what happening, how we are getting this port open or closed, that will also I'll explain using the Wireshark. So we'll explore that more in detail using the Wireshark also. So like that, every scan technique they have given in detail. Got it? So every scan technique, services and version detections. So it's like a book to learn Nmap. Okay. So as well as you have a StationX cheat sheet also. So Nmap cheat sheet, giving this in the chat box. Instead of Nmap, we can use mass scan, which is faster. And see, mass scan, that is not accurate compared to the Nmap. Getting my point? It just go with the basic TCP versions only, actually. So if you see in Nmap, what is say? You won't get the version or version detection scans. Yeah, it is faster, as you said. Nmap is faster. Millions of packet can be sent per second. Where in Nmap it will be the thousands of packets. Where if you see, it has a basic SYN scan scripts, or it will send the raw result of or large internet scans it will perform. But when it comes to the Nmap now, you have many stealth scan techniques where you can't find it in mass scan. So we have some scan techniques in Nmap, especially service version detection. You won't get that in the mass scan. It has limited. If you get that will be the limited only, right? In mass scan tool, right? So it is a high-speed TCP port scanner designed for large-scale network service. Right? So if you see, in some cases, faster performance than Nmap. So while supporting similar SYN scan techniques, right? So in this scenario, You can't go with the stealth scan methods in this, right? And here the output details will be more richer and readable format in the Nmap. And mostly we use this for auditing purpose and penetration testing. When it comes to the mass scan, this is for larger networks. So larger internet scans. Why? Because it can scan millions of devices quickly with the default rate lower but capable of high speed packet transmission. So this won't provide accurate information here. And even you can't perform the OS detection in this, where you can see the OS detection in Nmap. So there are some limitations compared with the Nmap, and so this will go with the basic scan level only. So it will go with basic sense style like that. So it requires the raw packet injection every day. Okay. So due to its speed, mass scan can overwhelm the network infrastructure. So it will be like a DOS attack. So maybe the request can be blocked sometime by the firewalls. So whereas Nmap, you have a steady and calm performance. It is slow. I agree with that. Thousands of requests it can make per second basis, but this will make millions of requests. Right. So again, you need to go with the rate limit. So if you're not doing that, it will be considered as a kind of a flooding attack, and the firewalls will block that request. Right. So that's a major differences. Same, you can do the port scan with the mask scan also, but where Nmap, it's completely network mapping tool. So where it can go with the live, discover the live host, scan ports, detect OS, detect the service versions, and you don't have the vulnerability scan. NSC you don't have in this. Scripting engine you don't have. So where Nmap have the script engine, where to perform the vulnerability scan. Correct? Right. So even you can check the vulnerabilities using the Nmap. Right. So whereas Mascan, it is designed for speed basis today. So it can scan the huge IP ranges very quickly. So the best use of Mascan is for what you said, that larger networks. All right. So internet-wide research purpose when it is having the authorization on. So that's a major difference. So compared to Mascan, Nmap is flexible and powerful, right? Yes, it is more flexible compared to Mascan. So Mascan has some limitations. See, for the major difference is where Nmap is slower than the Mascan. But when it comes to the Nmap has come up with some more advanced techniques like stealth scan, OS detection, version detection, and script scans. All this you have in the Nmap, where you can't find those things in the Mascan. Only basic level of port scanning it will perform, like fast discovery, detailed analysis, right? So where you can go with the fast discovery with the mass scan and detailed analysis with the Nmap. That's the difference. Got it? So you have many scan techniques in uh, Nmap compared to mass scan. All right. So if you want to explore the Nmap, this is the best source. Nmap cheat sheet also you have. If you scroll down, here you have different techniques like target specification, and the command also they have given. So if it is single IP, how to specify. If you have a multiple IPs, how to specify. If you have a complete range, if you have a domain, if you have a CIDR notation or files in a text, or only random 100 IPs if you want to scan, or exclude your IP from the list. So like that, you can specify the target and then go for host discord scan techniques. You have different host discord scan techniques. So here we have a single line description where if you go to the website, it has a complete detailed description about that particular command. Okay. So either you can work out. So if you need a reference of a command of that particular option, you can choose cheat sheet. And if you want to explore about the command more in detail, you can use Nmap website. Got it? Like if you can explore in that level. Right. So to practice this Nmap, okay, We can't do that on live websites or on the other servers directly. It's completely offensive. So we need to set our own lab. So just install a Metasploitable server on your host machine. So just search for Metasploitable 2 in your browser. And if you see there is a website called SourceForce. So just click on this. I'm giving this link in the chat. Same. Everyone know how to install the Kali Linux, right? Same. Just click on this download. So it will download a zip file. You know, right? Zip file. I told you how to extract the zip file using a WinRAR tool. So you can just download this file. So if you see it is there in my device. So this will be the file, Metasploitable 2. So right click and extract to Metasploitable after downloading. Okay. So once it downloaded, you can see it will create a folder like this. So you can keep this folder on your device somewhere in your disk local volume, or you want to load it from there. If it's up to you. I said you on that tip. You can keep where your Kali is having. So now once you extract it, download the file and extract that. This is a folder. Just close this. Don't open the file from there. Instead of that, use the VMware. So it's a VM file only. The Metasploitable to whatever the machine you're downloading is a VM file only. So now you can just go to your home and this open a virtual machine and go to that folder. See, extract, you have to extract. Without extracting, it won't show you the file. So make sure whatever the file you are downloading, that is a compressed file. It's a zip file. So make sure extract that zip file and open your VMware and load the file from the VMware. So it will show you one VM file. So this is your setup file. Click on this. It will open the machine like this. And make sure network settings, keep it as a bridge and run it. So consider now Kali is the attacker machine and Metasploitable is a target machine. Okay. So Metasploitable is a dummy server. It's a dummy server. You can see what is this Metasploitable? It is an intentionally vulnerable Linux machine. So this VM can be used to conduct the got my point? So to practice purpose, we are setting up this LAN. Got it? Clear everyone? So the default login is MSF admin and MSF admin. This is a username and password. This is the complete CLI tool. It's not like Kali. It will be completely command line tool only. So just install this file in your system and come. Okay? Is that clear everyone? Right? So even server also I'll give this file only. I'll give the lab. Okay, I'll share the OpenVPN file. So what you have to do with the OpenVPN file means I'll tell you how to do this OpenVPN. You guys can connect to our lab actually. So I'll share the file in the group. T8, right? The batch is 58, right? So, So I have given an OpenVPN file. Even I have given the Metasploitable tool link also. You can download that Metasploitable tool link, as well as I have given a reference YouTube video also. If you don't know how to install, so let's say if you install Kali Linux, that is the same process for Metasploitable tool also. And I have given a OpenVPN file. So make sure download this OpenVPN in your Kali better. Or else, if you want to do that on Windows now, you need to install a file called OpenVPN, the application. So this is the application. Okay. So whatever the file I have given, right? So just you need to upload that file here. The OpenVPN file I have given just now in the group. So once you give that file to this OpenVPN, it will ask you to enter the password. So say the credential. Already, I think you've done with the OpenVPN. You know that, right? I thought you do. So no need to show that, right? OpenVPN, you have an idea. So we'll discuss that. So you can use the OpenVPN and you can connect to our network and you can scan my network. Okay. And you can see what are the active hosts in the network. And you can do all those things using the Nmap. In the upcoming session, I'll do that. So as of now, just go through the what is the Nmap. Okay. Just see what is network, objectives of network scanning, port scanning. So we are going to use the Nmap tool. If possible, try to go with the Nmap tool. Just explore, see what it is. And then just do install. In VMware. Okay. And then go for TCP and UDP, as I said previously. TCP flags, port states, 6 port states we have. What are they? Open, close, filtered, unfiltered, open filtered, and close filtered. 6 port states you need to be aware of that. And again, protocols and port numbers. So in next session, we'll start with the practical. So till then, just do work out on these topics. So some of you ask about the time, practice the previous topics, right? So tomorrow I'll give the time. So again, we are going to connect on Friday. So I'm giving 1 day time for you to complete the previous modules, module 1 and module 4. Then do research on these topics which I have said here. On Friday, I'll start with the Nmap practical. Okay. So prepare for these things. Clear, everyone? Online? Any doubts? ఏది ఒకవేళ మెటాస్ప్లాటబుల్ ఉంటే you can work out on your own system. If it is facing any issue for you, you can connect to our VPN. In that you have Metasploitable server. So you need to find that Metasploitable server IP. You need to scan. You need to do that. Okay. So here, no need. Just you need to turn on that machine. Just keep to bridge. Turn on this machine. It's completely command line interface. So just log in using the credentials MSF admin and MSF admin. Go with IP IF config. Take the IP address. Scan that IP. అంతే మ్యాప్లో ఐపీని స్కాన్ చేస్తాం బట్ మీకు ఎందుకు నేను VPN అంటున్నాను అంటే సో why I'm saying about the VPN is same attackers will enter into your network. What they do by entering into your network, by compromising one of the devices in your network, and they'll scan entire network and see what are the active devices in that network, and they'll see what services the devices are running. In that, any one of the devices is running any vulnerable service now, they'll take the advantage of that service and they'll compromise the device also. So you know the case study of Uber. Uber got data breach, also when it happened, long back. So it happened on 2021, around September. Uber got data breach. So if you see behind that data breach, they use a technique called social engineering. Social engineering means like phishing. So one of the employee VPN credentials was stolen actually, right? 2022 September. So it happened. We got to know in 2022. So behind that process, they use a technique called social engineering. He convinced one of the employee in the organization and he got the access to the VPN. So through that VPN, he entered into the Uber network. So after entering into the Uber network, what he did? He scanned that network using the possibilities nmap. And through that, he found what are the active hosts. In that, he found one of the network share. And this network share contained the directory. And that directory contained the PowerShell script. And he extracted the PowerShell script. He got the credentials of admin of all this AWS, OneLogin, G Suite, all this access they got actually. And now this contains all the customer data and everything, a compromise. So once you enter into a network, this is a possibility. They scan the networks actually. They find the active host, their services. They'll try to take down the access. So that is an entry point, right? So scanning network is also an important phase where to find the sensitive information. So first two phases are very important as a pen tester, as an attacker, because that will help you to gain the access. So without these two phases, you won't get any access there. Scanning cheyakuna, reconnaissance cheyakuna, you're not getting any access. So if you want to enter into the third phase, like exploitation or gaining access, you need to perform the first two phases. So they are very important. Got it? So just do work out on this topic, sir. Yeah, Rishabh. I can't hear you, Rishabh. Do you have any doubts, Rishabh?
Yes, sir. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yeah, now you're on.
Sir, I want to know that, like, in the network layer, we know that the IP addresses are assigned, correct? It means the
Mm-hmm.
source IP address and the destination IP address both are assigned
Mm-hmm.
at the network layer.
Mm-hmm.
But suppose I am sending some data to my friend, so
Mm.
how network layer can able to determine or locate the destination's IP address? It means my friend's IP address.
So how you're sending that, through which source you are sending?
No, uh, like through the
Example, let's take an example. This is a domain. Okay. I want this file. Example, consider. Okay. So this has an address, right? So same,
Mhm.
you mention any of the destination address. Without knowing the destination address, how will you send a packet?
Yes, correct.
Right. So you'll have that source actually. So your device, if you're using any, if let's take example WhatsApp, instant messaging application. So you have an account which is
Yes,
configured with your number. So
correct.
where I'm
Yes,
storing your number and then I'm sending the data, where the server will map that packet to the destination account, right? So means there is a servers in middleman. So that will take care of your request between the sender and the receiver. Okay. So that is where the applications we use here. So now this is an application browser. So this application will map your packet to the destination. So without knowing the destination IP, you can't send that. So definitely have an idea. Like for example, I need a data from Google. So I'll look over to the Google first, right? So am I getting the Google? So how my browser knows this is a Google? Again, my browser will go out to the address of Google from the DNS. So DNS is providing the IP address of Google. My browser is routing to the DNS server. Same way, if you are using a WhatsApp, so whatever I'm sending a message, hi, it will go to the WhatsApp server. There it will check to which user, whether the user exists or not. Then it will send the data. Right. So how you are doing from your side means you have the account, you have the number. Same mail also. You have the mail ID, you sending the mail. Right. So that will route accordingly. So we have that. So without mentioning the destination address, even if you take your Swiggy or Zomato, whatever you order from these platforms, how it is getting delivered to you, you're telling who you are, right? So where you live. So based on that information, the message will get delivered or the food get delivered to you. So here we have the applications to route that packet to your destination. So without knowing, you can't send that. Okay.
It means, sir, applications are responsible to
If I'm using an application, application is responsible. If I'm using any source, that source will be the responsible for that. If you're there, Rishabh. So to Rishabh, I want to send the data. So to send the data, what is the source I'm using here? Is that an application? Or is that a system? Or is that what? So depends on that, the communication will happen. So if it is application, application is responsible. So application has to recognize your destination, right?
and
So the
sir, one more question I have. Uh,
Mhm.
in so in the data link layer, we know that the ARP is used to ARP is used to know the destination's MAC address, correct? So why we do the ARP broadcasting? Because if we know the destination IP address, so from there
Mhm.
we know that where is the correct device with the IP address. So what is
Mhm.
the need of doing the broadcasting? Why can't we do simply unicast one to one and
Mhm.
get the MAC address?
So because one-to-one, why it is not happening here is when you replay, for example, the replay will be the unicast. The request you are making is a broadcast there. If you observe in ARP, the request is getting broadcast, but the replay is unicast. Have you observed that?
Yes, yes, correct.
Right. So on that basis, if it is uh, a direct connection, I can go with the unicast communication one to one. But if you observe, our networks will be having a gateway, right?
Yes,
And this is your device, and this is another device. Let's take your target device. So now, if you want to map the data, this is your gateway router, and this is your A device, B device, and C device, right? So your question is, you can map the packet with the help of IP. Why we need a MAC? You're saying, or why it is only one unicast basis? Why not it is broadcast? You're saying, what exactly it
correct.
is?
Correct, correct. Why we need to do the broadcast if we know the correct IP address of a device?
So here, when it comes to the internal communication, external, if you observe external means over the internet, it use only the IP address. We won't map MAC if you observe.
Correct, correct.
Why? Because MAC will work within locally.
Within the
So
network,
when
correct,
yeah, so when it go with the Ethernet based connections, it requires both the IP and MAC, not only the MAC enough here internally. So why? Because IP is used to identify like what is mm, what the term that is to which device
network,
or which entry point I need to take. That is what it look for actually IP address. So when it comes to the MAC address, now it is check whether which hardware packet has to receive that. Means if you see Your device has multiple NICs. You'll connect to the
Yes,
Wi-Fi, you connect to the Ethernet, you'll connect to the Bluetooth. So if I want to go with exact interface, my packet or my frame, just having the IP address is not enough, right?
correct.
So I need to know about the MAC address also, right? So obviously I need to bind an IP along with the MAC address to frame my packet from network layer to data link layer. Getting my point? So network
Yes.
is to identify your device. IP is to identify your device, fine. But in that device, again, which frame, which interface the frame should be accept? Is that a Wi-Fi? Is that a Ethernet? Is that a Bluetooth? That can be depend on the MAC address only. Got my point? So
Yes.
obviously your ARP should map that. It will determine. Got it?
Okay, like it means ARP will determine from which interface it is connected. Like the device
Exactly.
is connected to which interface, either
Exactly.
Wi-Fi or Ethernet or a,
Hmm.
or a Bluetooth.
Hmm. Exactly. So obviously Ethernet need to be there. So that's why based on that only I can able to map my packet to the exact destination or exact hardware. Okay. So MAC address is nothing but here the physical address which is assigned to your hardware. That's why we call this as a unique hardware identifier. Right? MAC address is nothing
Yes.
but a unique hardware identifier. So I need to identify that interface. So on that basis, I'll go with the IP to MAC. Right?
Oh,
And IP will be dynamic, keep on changing.
yes,
So the
keep on
static,
changing.
yeah, the static will be only the
Once,
MAC here, especially in
yes,
internal part.
once we change the location, the IP also change.
Change. So on that basis, we need to map with the MAC address. And even to assign the IP address to your device, I need to take your MAC address and I need to verify that MAC address also, whether you're genuine or not, whether the exact destination frame should be sent to that point or not. So if there is no MAC, remember, there is an attack called man in the middle attack.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we can easily perform that. If it is not having this concept, you can easily sniff the other packets also. For example, now I connected to the router. Now all these people also connected to the router in my network. So let's take this is my device, attacker. Now tell me generally, can I able to capture the packets of B device? Then what is the use of privacy? Just connecting to your network, can I capture your device packets?
Yes.
No, you can't. You can't get that directly. Never you'll get that. You can't capture. Why? Because the router will map your packet exactly.
Sorry, sir, I'm interrupting you. Can you
Yeah.
please repeat this question one more time? I couldn't listen.
Imagine this is you, Rishabh. Okay. So this is you and this is me. The B
Mm-hmm.
device is my device and A device is your device. We both are connected to the same network. Okay.
Correct.
Right. So now is that possible for you to capture my device packet just connecting to my network?
No, we need MAC address.
Hmm? So actually, no. Why? Because when a packet route, for example, this B is looking for google.com. So first it will go to router, from router to internet, it will map. Again from internet to router, router to my device only. Why not A device means if you observe the Ethernet, the MAC address, the frame is belongs to my NIC. So obviously my network interface will collect that packet. So it will send the data to the exact network interface. So where the MAC address is used here. So based on your packet, the MAC address from the router, it will map or send that frame to up to the network layer will be your router. From network layer, next what we have data link layer. So which is responsible for your frame, which is physical address. So that physical address is belongs to my NIC. So my NIC will accept that packet. Remaining, so that's why they can't able to capture that directly. So they are going to perform the attacks like man in the middle attacks, like ARP spoofing. Means I'll spoof the ARP table of B device, and I change the gateway MAC address, and whatever the packet the B is sending to the gateway will be forwarded to the A device. So like that, I need to perform the attack. So if there is no MAC, I can easily snip the data. It will go with the broadcasting kind of thing, as simple. So to identify the hardware interface, we use the MAC address. To identify the device in the network, we use the IP address. So that is how your packet will be mapped. Simple way చెప్పాలి అంటే, consider IP address as your apartment. In apartment, you have some 50 flats. In that
Yes,
exact
the
flat
food
will be like
MAC
207
address.
MAC address. And in the 207, there is a person called Akhil.
So it's a port.
That is a port address, right? So this is how your data will be packed. So just knowing an apartment is fine? No. In that, which flat is also important. In that, which flat, which application is accessing. Example, from Firefox, I made a Facebook request. From Google also, I made a Facebook request. So how it will differentiate that request to request? Port address will be assigned for that particular request, a unique port address. Even for maybe IP will be same, MAC address will be same, but port address will be different. Why? Because these applications both are in my device only. And these applications are using my IP address only, my MAC address only. But how I can differentiate these two requests? How my system will differentiate these two requests? Port numbers.
Numbers.
Got my point? So that's how
Yes.
your communications will work here. Got it?
Yes, sir, yes.
Right. So it's required. ARP is very important internally, especially local network. It will send the packet using the ARP source only. That can only recognize your device. If not, it is a bit difficult for the systems to recognize or to map the packet. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Right. Any other? So in a simple way, consider IP is nothing but here who logically owns the device, and MAC is nothing but here which exact hardware should receive the frame. That's the difference. So IP, which logically owns the device. So who is logically own the device will identify by the IP only. And in the device, which hardware should receive that frame, that will be defined by your MAC address. That is where the data link layer. Got it? So which layer is responsible for port addressing in TCP IP? Transport layer. So which layer is responsible for IP address in OSI model? Network layer. So which layer is responsible for physical address in TCP IP model? Which layer is responsible for physical addressing in TCP IP model? Right. Port address transport layer है, physical address को transport layer. Physical address means MAC address. No, not data link layer. My question is, which layer is responsible for physical addressing in TCP IP model? If it is OSI, your answer is correct, data link layer. But TCP IP model, I said, it's compressed model. Only 4 layers will be there. Network interface layer. You have 4 layers. What are the 4 layers of TCP IP model? A. Presentation ఉండదు. Application, transport, internet layer, and network interface layer. So 4 layers ఉంటాయి గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. So presentation and session layer is combined as a application layer. Transport is transport, but network layer is represented as an internet layer in TCP/IP model, and data link and physical layer is acting as a one single layer as a network interface layer. I said you on the TCP/IP difference, so make sure about that. So they'll ask you in this way. Check that whether they are asking that question in TCP/IP model base or OSI model base. So you need to read that carefully. All right, so we'll stop it here for today. We'll continue the remaining in the next session. We'll connect on Friday. Tomorrow, you need a time you asked, right? So do work out on that. So take the time, don't waste the time. Try to utilize that properly. We'll connect on Friday and we'll start with the practical part, which is Nmap. Okay? చేసేసి అవసరం లేదు అదర్ లైనక్స్ మిషన్ అని ఉంటుంది క్వశ్చన్ అది 17 కదా ఆల్టర్ పెట్టుకో నెక్స్ట్ ఓకే all right so you guys can thank you for joining the session. Have a great day. See you on next session. Thank you.